2, 3, funky.
Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and my daughter Grace is 9 months old. Even though she's 9 months old, I still feel like I have a little bit of PTSD from those first few weeks home from the hospital. We had taken a lot of parenting classes because I was a pretty anxious pregnant lady, but I feel like once we brought her home, everything that we learned completely slipped my mind. Maybe it was also the sleep deprivation, but we couldn't remember how to do anything, and we were also really nervous. They are so much smaller than you think they're going to be, and I was just at least a little bit afraid that I was going to break her in doing any of those things. So for the last few months, I've really wanted to film a sort of baby basics or new baby care series because I know how daunting those first few weeks can be, and it can be really helpful just to kind of review some of the basic things that you feel like you should know, but you don't. And it's embarrassing to ask, or maybe you don't have a friend or a family member around who you can ask. For us, Grace was born during COVID, so there wasn't a lot of people around, especially in those first few weeks. So the internet was kind of our friend and our teacher on how to parent. For this first video, I thought we would start really simple. Eat, sleep, poop. Basically how to feed your baby, how to put them down to sleep, and how to change the diaper. Okay, so first things first, how do you feed that precious little baby? Well, this is where I might differ from a little bit of you in that because Grace was a preemie, she never breastfed very well. We've had to stick with bottles with pumped milk. So I'm going to show you how to prep a bottle for those of you that breastfeed. I will link a couple of really helpful videos about breastfeeding because I'm not an expert in that. My expertise is bottles, and I'm going to show you that. So how do you prep a bottle? So the first thing you're going to do is grab a bottle and either fill it with water or your pumped milk. For us, because she's little and we want her to grow, we do pumped milk plus additional formula for some extra calories, but you could also do this with just water. If you're doing just breast milk, you're going to shake it up because there's fat that builds up around the bottle and we want to kind of get that off. And then all you do is add a scoop of formula. You're going to want to follow your pediatrician's recommendations for the measurements because it's totally dependent on the size of your baby. And then you just add that in like this. Give it another little shake. And a lot of people use bottle warmers. For us, we found that descaling it actually made that way too much work. And so we actually use this very scientific cup of water that we microwave. So if you're gonna do the microwave method, all you do is take your cup of water and microwave it for about 2 minutes, and then you're gonna drop your bottle in there. Okay, so once your water is warm, all you need to do is set it down and drop your bottle in for another 2 minutes. Boom. Okay, so your milk is all warm. You're gonna go ahead and put a bottle nipple on it. And then you always want to remember to take it and test it on your wrist like this. And you want to make sure that it's not too hot. If the milk is too hot, it will, one, it could burn your baby, but it could also squirt out really fast and that can make them kind of choke and gargle and it's not pretty. So you want to make sure it's about the same temperature as your spit. You want some milk? Okay, so how to give your baby a bottle. So one thing you're going to want to start with whenever you're positioning your baby, you want them to have their head above their legs so that the milk can kind of flow down. This is the position I usually use. I kind of take the My Breast Friend pillow, I'll link that below, and I put my knee up like this so that it angles her like this. And then when you're giving them the milk, you want to make sure that the milk is fully filling the nipple. You don't want it to be too low like this, so that they're getting half air. That'll give them a lot of air when they're swallowing, and it'll give them gas bubbles and make them super, super cranky. When you're trying to get a newborn to take a bottle, one of the things you can do to open their mouth is to kind of tickle the top of their upper lip like this. And that usually makes them open their mouth. And then once the bottle is in, you want to kind of angle it up so it tickles the top of their mouth, and that'll trigger their sucking reflex. Another position that you can do that we did a lot when she was really little is you can sit on the floor and rest them in your legs. I'll put a little clip in, and then you can tilt the bottle like that, and that can be kind of comfortable. My husband liked that one a lot more. One tip I have about bottle feeding specifically is because you can see how much milk they're drinking, it can be really easy to stress out about how much they're eating or not eating. And we definitely then tried to force feed them a little bit. So if you're breastfeeding, you have no idea how much they're taking, and I feel like that's a little bit easier. But if you're giving a bottle, if I could give advice to my past self, I would say don't worry about how much they're taking. Their body will regulate it, and it will just cause way more drama if you stress about how much they're taking or not taking. If your pediatrician is worried, then you can worry, but until then, just chill. So when you're looking for bottles and nipples, I would try to buy a couple of different kinds before you commit to a whole set. Just because your best friend's baby liked one kind of bottle or your sister's baby liked a different kind of nipple doesn't mean that yours will. For example, Grace only likes drinking out of these, out of these single-use cream nipples. And sometimes she doesn't finish all of it, and I used to really stress about that, and I don't anymore. Okay, so once your baby is done eating, it's going to be time to burp them. So we'll see how well she does this when she's bigger. What we used to do, we'll see, she might not do it, is we would sit her down and then rest her like this and burp her like that. I'll put a clip in. Yeah, I used to burp her, oh, there you go, is I would put her over my shoulder and just give her really firm pats, like this. You only need to burp them when they're really little. I don't really burp her anymore, but that's what we used to do. Okay, so we talked about putting food in. Let's talk a little bit about what to do when it comes out. So I thought we could go over diapering just a little bit. And I don't know about for you, but for me, diapering was kind of a point of pride after growing up babysitting. And then I brought my own baby home and I looked at her on the changing pad and she just looked so little and her limbs just seemed to go everywhere. So if that's the case, it's okay. I also forgot, and we can just kind of review some of the basics. So first things first, how do you know if you need to change their diaper? So modern diapers have this really nice yellow stripe that's yellow when they're dry and it turns blue when they're wet. So if it's blue, then you know they need to change. In general, our pediatrician told us if you smell poop, you need to change it. But in general with pee, these diapers can actually hold a decent amount. And so we just change her as soon as we wake her up from any nap and right before we put her down for the whole night. So you don't actually need to wake your baby up in the middle of the night to change their diaper unless you smell poop. For the most part, it's okay if they have a pee diaper during the night. You don't need to worry about that. So when you take a diaper, you're gonna want to first activate it, which sounds fancy, but really that just means turn it inside out like this. And that gets these little frills to pop up and those catch the poo. If you don't activate it, you're gonna have poo seeping out every way. We had lots of blowouts at first. So once you've activated, you go ahead and unsnap the onesie, lift their legs up, and you put the new diaper underneath the old diaper like this before you take the old diaper off. That way, if while you're changing them, they happen to pee, it goes on a diaper rather than having to clean anything else. In general, I also recommend giving them either a passy or some little toy. Sometimes I'll hand her like the tube of Aquaphor and that kind of keeps her hands up and away from the diaper area. Okay, so we have the clean diaper on under the dirty diaper. We're ready to go. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is grab a wipe. I'm not gonna unhook it now, but you're gonna unhook the dirty diaper. If their arms are flailing around and they're really little, you can actually take their onesie and pull it up over their arms, and that can keep their arms up. When they're a little bit older, I like to give her a toy, and that keeps her arms busy. Okay, so you're gonna unhook the dirty diaper, take the wipe. You're gonna wipe from front to back if it's a girl. If it's a boy, it's not as big of a deal, but you might wanna take a clean wipe and just place it over his business so you don't get peed on in the face. Okay, so you've wiped everything clean. You're gonna take all the dirty wipes, and let's just pretend this is the dirty diaper. You're gonna drop all the dirty wipes into the dirty diaper, and then when you're done, you can grab it from the underneath so you don't have to touch anything. pull it up, and then you fold it up in this nice little origami shape, and you can just actually take the little tabs and close it like this so that everything is kind of contained. Okay, so dirty diaper is off and disposed of. Now we take the clean diaper. We want to make sure that the blue tabs are on the back. That's the butt piece, and I know at least several times when we brought her home, I forgot about that. Put it on backwards. It's fine. We all do it. It actually works both ways. But you're going to go ahead and pull those tabs around, and they're all done. Woo! Awesome. You just changed the diaper. Go you. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the thing I was probably most scared of when I was pregnant, which was newborn sleep. Yeah, so when I was pregnant, I wasn't afraid of labor or of breastfeeding. I was afraid of sleep. So actually getting them to stay asleep is a whole other topic that I don't want to get into right now. But at least for a start, we can talk about how you put your baby down for a nap or down to sleep. One of the things that really resonated with me during parenting classes is the idea of recreating the environment that your baby is coming from in order to help them go to sleep. So when you think about the womb, your baby is in there, they're really tightly constricted, it's really dark, and there's a really loud sound of swoosh, 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 swoosh. One of your bangs, I don't know, something in there. So when you're trying to get your baby to go to sleep, those are some of the things you're going to want to create on the outside that they had on the inside. The 4 pieces I want you to remember are swaddle, sound, suck, and light. We'll talk about each of those and how you can create those for your baby when you're putting them down to go to bed. So the first piece we're going to talk about is swaddle. And when I talk about swaddle, I'm unfortunately not talking about all of those beautiful blankets that you got at your baby shower. So the reason you're not going to want to use a swaddle blanket is just because, one, it's not very effective, and if you have a baby Houdini like me, they'll still be able to wrangle themselves out, and not only wrangle themselves out, they'll have loose fabric ends that could get over their face and cause a suffocation risk, which is no bueno. The other reason is because if you need to get them up in the night to feed them or change their diaper, you do not want to try to re-origami that stuff at 2 in the morning. You want Velcro and zippers. So I really like this version. It's by the Happiest Baby, the Sleep Pea Swaddle, and it just has this piece that wraps around their arms like this. I'll put a clip in, and that holds their arms down, and then you just zip them up. So that's swaddle. The next piece is sound. As far as white noise machines, you're going to be looking for something that can make a pretty loud noise. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but you want it to be loud and you want it to be deep. Here in her nursery, when she's sleeping, we use the Hatch Baby, which is this guy. It's a little bit pricey, but it comes with a timer, which is really convenient. But when she was really little, especially when she was napping in the living room, we used this little travel white noise machine called the Hush. And we could also put it in the car seat when we were out driving. Okay, so your baby is all swaddled and they look like a tiny mummy, like mine right here. Now's the one where you're gonna make a choice that's best for you and your family. And that's whether or not to give a pacifier. I'm not gonna really go into that, that's totally up to you. For us, it really helped Grace to sleep in those early months, but it's totally up to you. The sucking reflex triggers some really feel-good chemicals in their brain that can help them go to sleep, but some babies won't take them. Some people are really worried about nipple confusion, so do whatever feels right for you and your baby. The last piece of putting your baby down is light, and this kind of depends on whether or not this is a nap or you're putting them down for sleep. So in general, most newborns are going to come home with something called day-night confusion. And that comes from being in the womb, and anytime you got home and went to sleep, that was the time that you were most still and probably one of the times that they were most active in the womb. So when they come out as newborns, they're still going to be kind of on that horrible schedule of being up at night and sleeping during the day. One of the things that you can do is to have them take naps in the light during the day to help them establish that, and when they go down at night, make it really dark. For us, what we do in here, because you can see there's a decent amount of light, we have these vinyl window coverings that go over this window, and that helps to make it pitch black. In general, if you're trying to black out a room, if you can see your hand in front of your face, it's too light. All right, so we're all set. Our baby is swaddled. We've got the sound machine on. Maybe we put a pacifier in. And if we're putting them down for night, the room is completely dark. So what do we do now? So you're gonna take your baby and you can kind of rock back and forth. You wanna make sure their diaper is changed. Maybe put some Aquaphor on to help them not get a diaper rash. You wanna make sure they're nice and full. And you're gonna take them and you can just rock them back and forth, usually for 2 or 3 minutes, really soft. And then you just set them down and you want them to be drowsy, but still awake. That's gonna help them to learn to put themselves asleep even when they're really little and save you lots of trouble down the road. So we're gonna try it. Okay, that covered most of the things I wanted to talk about in this first video. We talked about how to feed your baby, how to change a diaper, and how to put them down for sleep. Before we go any further, I just want to remind you that you're doing awesome, and if you're super tired right now, it does get better and you will figure this out. Good luck, see you next time.